if you carry the fucking pandemic. Yes, if you're walking around carrying a pen, yeah, you should be. What are you talking about? This is why I say most black men are cowards, especially the older ones who always spend their time not calling out Pookie, not calling out Keisha, always want to keep the peace. You got discredited shines on Bernard Riley's panel talking about things that are not even true. While you got older black men saying that it's a difference of opinion. And this isn't the first time you've done this. He always does this because he's another cowardly dude, man. Another cowardly dude who can't defend his opinion. Yes, if you're not wearing a mask and if you're walking around in public, potentially carrying a deadly virus that could kill other people, yes, I want your ass removed. They already got a law in New York right now trying to pass it. Yes, you should be. So let's just see if you're going to show up. You see, this is another problem with whole ass black men. They don't know how to have a conversation that is on topic and is on subject. So they just decide to insert things into the actual discussion that has nothing to do with the actual topic itself. You still got dudes talking about being anti-maskers today. Talk about being anti-maskers in a time where the pandemic is out of control. No, these women are going to burn for their decisions. I don't even make content about women. But these dudes can't stay on topic and on subject for anything to say they like. I'd rather be right, man. I'd rather be right. So we're going to see how long it's going to take for you to actually come here. It's not a matter of opinion. When you show up to the Capitol and celebrate domestic terrorism, I'm not even. My shit without. So where's Don Gordito? Where is he? Where are you, Don? Where are you, Don? I said the women were going to burn for the decisions that they made, not me doing anything. I don't even do content about women. And that thing was for anybody. Walking around carrying a pandemic, I actually want people to be held responsible for their actions. Don, how many people did you have die in your family over COVID-19? I had over 30 in my own family alone. One of my best friends I actually grew up with died over that stuff. No, he had other health problems, but the people visiting him brought that to him, and that's what took him out. You see, this is why we can't get anywhere, man, because most of these dudes want to be entertained, man. Like, they don't want to come here and actually do anything else differently. So he just come up slandering way off topic. And that's what older black men do. Like, how do we expect younger black men to be better than older black men when the older black men are it's just as much as on nonsense as the women are within the environment? How do we expect more out of these younger men? When you have older black men who have not called out, yeah, a dude in his age group, he said nothing to Cylinder Boy and Mr. Body Game. He said nothing. Because most of these dudes want this stuff to actually not change for black men. The real enemy to black men is older black men, folks. And younger black men who want to focus on everything else but the right thing. Every time. He always want to throw the same stuff in. Every time. When that's not even the context of what happens. Because that's what hoe ass dudes do, man. They take stuff out of context and they just post it. You got an older relative that somebody not wearing a mask can bring the actual virus to, so that way they can die? There's plenty of people in them hospitals. You can go walk around there without a mask on to see if you will catch this stuff or not. So why are you done, Gordito? Where you at? Where you at? Like, this is the problem with dudes like this in City of Truth and most older black men within this space, man, they're children. No, that's the person's name. No matter what the topic of conversation is, we're talking about domestic terrorism in the Capitol, but we're talking about mask again. Talking about mask is a foregone conclusion, man. Yeah, I know you're a fake ass conservative. Bring this bullshit. Yeah, man, because most of these dudes, they can't stay on topic. And when they do insert stuff, they insert stuff out of context. Laro does the same stuff. Whenever I'm going in on these older black men, he does that kind of stuff too. You see, these people got a lot to say, but whenever you open up an actual avenue for them to actually address their grievances, they don't show up. It's always the whataboutism. That's what it's called. It's called whataboutism. But you want to call other black men domestic terrorists because y'all have a difference of opinion. He think that a difference of opinion is going to Washington, D.C. to burn it down. That's a difference of opinion. That is not a difference of opinion. There is right and wrong. Wearing a mask when you go out in public, that is a right or wrong thing. Wearing a mask inside your house, man, who cares about that? We're talking about when you go out in public and there's a pandemic going on. That's not a right or wrong thing. That's a protection of public safety. It's the liberal who wants to go around without a mask on, who don't care about public safety. These liberals who want to do that. Where you at, Don? Where you at? It's always this whataboutism. And it's the out of context whataboutism that these people do. That is such a problem. I called him a domestic terrorist because he was hanging out with the Proud Boys. I called him a domestic terrorist because he went down to Washington, D.C. and was participating in the actions down there in Washington, D.C. But it's always this whataboutism to preempt conversations, to draw the conversations towards you. So now you got a whole conversation about you now, Don. Come on up. What are you waiting on? And think about it. The Capitol was a place where guns were not allowed. What do you think would have happened if those people were armed and they stormed the Capitol? They would have killed every single person in there quite easily. But according to Don, that's a difference of opinion. It's always this whataboutism. And me trying to police a group of people that he's not a part of. It's the perfect time to drop emotional based conversations about masks and black women to burn when I don't even do black women content. I don't do black women content. There are too many content creators within the black space who do content specifically about marketing this broken person to other people. That's not me. They're going to burn because of the decision that they made. They don't have my protection. Therefore, I'm not even worried about that because I don't believe in this community thing. My community starts for me with my household. That's where my community starts at. My community don't start with trying to take care of other people who's not a part of my household. I don't have to circle the wagons for people who are not part of my community, and that is my household. Yeah, I got a lot of these alt-right people. Most of them who got sense, who work for the federal government, they're changing their tones right now. Because I guarantee you they're going to go through the email system. And if you pass any meme that had to do with this stuff around federal property, dude, they're going to kick your ass up out of there. The union ain't going to be able to hold you from the consequences. So where's Don Gordito? Where you at? Don Gordito. What's going on, man? And every time I go in on somebody who actually needs it on a specific situation, he try to drag the conversation back to this right here. Coward. That's what these dudes are. Cowards. They want to throw rocks and hide their hands. Cowards. If you want to have an out of context conversation, why don't you have an in text conversation? Come out here and defend what you just said because it's out of contract. What older members of your family can I bring somebody who actually had COVID-19 to so that way you can see what mask wearing does do or don't do? None of this stuff is hard, folks. The actual enemies of Black America is actually talking about women right now. Because they ain't trying to actually, they're not actually trying to, you can't work with these dudes, man. The dude's broke. The dude's not even good at business. And the last three business people that we had, they've done incredibly bad at the presidency. The last business person that we had was George W. Bush, was also a business guy. Was also acting like the cool guy you wanted to hang around. He left the country in shambles. After he left, 800,000 jobs being lost a month. That was optional. Just like the guy leaving the White House in 13 days. 800,000 jobs lost per month. Again, thanks to a virus that he didn't get under control. The dude's a criminal. So where's Don Gordito at, man? I don't respect people like that. I don't respect finesses, man. I think finesses should get the sharp end of the sword, and I'm talking about right away. As you can see, this coward had his chance to come out, but he didn't say a word. Yeah, you got grown ass adults out here trolling like 15-year-old children. Grown ass adults who can't even stay on topic or subject of the things that is actually discussed. They want to insert other things like hoes. Grown ass adults. Hey man, I don't admire hustlers, man. I don't admire hustlers at all. Hustlers shouldn't even be a word that should even come out of your mouth about respecting. Hustlers make stuff bad for people who are actually in legitimate business. Legitimate businessmen don't like hustlers because hustlers want to sell you a product, but they don't want to be around to take care of the product after it's sold. That is nothing to be respected. Nothing at all to be respected about that because it makes it hard for the whole business environment to operate if everybody has to watch their back because of hustlers. This is why it's very hard for me to team up with people to actually do business with because my reputation's on the line and everything else. I just don't want to just go out there and do things with people who just want to come up because hustlers don't actually build anything. They consume everything that they run across. A hustler is a demolition service because if everybody became hustlers within the environment, other than business people within the environment, we would not be able to go forward. If everybody within the environment start talking to and responding to the dumb stuff that women say within the environment and not concentrating on the things that need to actually be concentrated on within the environment, that's what happens. And actually, being a hustler in Mississippi meant something different than what it was after I left. Hustle mean move. Hustle mean work your ass off. That's what hustler mean down there. Hustler didn't mean scamming. You couldn't survive being a scammer in that type of environment. You would get away with that stuff maybe once, maybe twice, and then that's your track record to everybody. You had to leave town. Hustlers had a hell of a time getting by on people within that small environment. I mean, they romanticize the hustler because that's what they think that, women want, but women want men who are stupid and they lower themselves to a level of stupidity to where they get chose by the actual counterpart within the environment, but they're willing to do that for sex. That's something way and totally different. There's nothing wrong with focusing on your craft and building that, but never reduce what you do in a professional life to being a hustler, man. Nah, man, don't do anything like that. You be in bad company when you do stuff like that. So now, within the black manosphere, misinformation is the hustle right now. Misinformation and giving platforms to hood conservatives and fake ass street conservatives in this environment. That's what it is. That's the hustle right now. Trying to brush off the reputation of irreputable people. So where's Don Gordito? Where you at, man? You ain't blocked. I know you can talk in the chat. You ain't blocked. Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you. Trump did finesse the whole country. He did. He wasn't a successful business guy. He did not have the billions of dollars that he claimed. He super overinflated all the assets that he did have to get even more assets. So now he's so over leveraged to where he's going to take down a whole bunch of banks with him, just like he did in the 70s. You couldn't see his tax returns until what? 3 years and 10 months into his actual administration is when you was able to see his taxes. Remember, he was the business guy. That was his supposed track record. But you couldn't even see the track record until September, after New York City or state got a hold of his tax returns and released them to the public. Even though there was a Supreme Court and all these other courts who actually hid his track record from the actual public view. That's what happened. He did finesse people. He finessed his way all the way to the White House. Being a blue dog Democrat for most of his life, then he went into the White House and went straight up and red meat conservative. Still a huckster, but yeah. And it's not that he was just so good at it. It's just that we just have such a bad system at pointing this stuff out. Yeah, but you can get further with the goddamn truth, man. And that's the thing, man. Think about it. For instance, think about it. Let's say you got a person who's a hustler in high school, taught all these bad values. They're never going to be able to survive in a normal environment. And you have somebody side by side who's in school to go be a doctor or a lawyer or anything else. The person who's quote unquote hustling, he's trying to get as much value that he can out of any environment that he can, trying to learn just enough information to seem competent, but not enough information to practically be competent itself. People want to sound competent. They want to mouthpiece you over with all of this nonsense, but when it comes time to deliver, they can't deliver because it was never in them to do that in the first place. That's the problem here. Meanwhile, the other guy is not being celebrated in the environment. He's going to be what, well into his early 20s or maybe even late 20s if we're talking about being something really great. And then when this individual actually graduates, he's surrounded by people who never respected the process. Especially when you could not qualify for a loan inside the United States and you were still being given loans by Deutsche Bank. This is a problem. That's the problem, man. People don't understand how logical progression works. It works within any type of business. Just because you get a good deal on something doesn't mean that you're going to be able to spend it or even sell it as quick as you got it. Because if you get it at that price and you ain't got a system or a network to get that stuff off, like a store or a chain of stores or e-commerce game type, you just got a whole bunch of stuff that's going to eventually lose value over time. And every single person would always mess up money in situations like that because they're not used to making decisions like that. That's something that you got to learn how to do. You just can't walk up and thinking that, oh man, I get this. No. That's the crack seller's mentality. You can't bring a crack seller mentality to business. It's nearly impossible to do that. But you can get stuff the right way. You just won't be relevant to most of these broken men within the environment, as well as the broken counterpart within the environment. As long as you're not trying to appeal to either one of those sides of the coin, you're going to be fine within the environment. And this is the thing that we have to pass on to the youth, because the youth is really seeing that all the older guys are having fun talking about women. Well, these guys ain't going to be able to get to the point of being successful paying attention to all the guys talking about women within the environment. Now, I'm not talking about Game Changer. I'm not talking about Jada Black. I'm not talking about most of the people where what they was always on when they came here. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who just now got into the field of doing this stuff. But they're talking to them, ain't going to be able to help them. All that stuff is internal. All that stuff is internal, man. So Don Gordito is not going to show up. He always wanted to throw rocks and hide his hands. And when it came down to it, he didn't want to say anything. We're having a specific conversation. What's going on right now? About domestic terrorism. And he wanted to turn it into, because we have a difference of opinion. This is not a difference of opinion. Being a military veteran showing up to the federal house, helping out domestic terrorists. That is not a difference of opinion. There's nowhere near a difference of opinion. But a lot of these people in this environment are stuck to this cultural conservatism. Cultural conservatism has nothing to do with Black progress. Cultural conservatism has nothing to do with that. Cultural conservatism is about trolling and having troll-based conversations. Cultural conservatism has nothing to do with passing legislation that is based on equal protection under the law. Cultural conservatism has a lot to do with protecting some people under the law while not everybody else under the law. This is why I never believed in the cultural conservative argument. This is why I never took cultural conservatives seriously. Because you don't have to learn history to be a cultural troll. The only thing you need to do is just be wrong as hell and to keep finding yourself onto the Bernard Riley program. Because he's a cultural conservative too. This shit makes money. I'm not gonna lie to you. Being a cultural conservative can make you a lot of money. Look at Rush Limbaugh. This dude made a ton of money, not providing any legislation or anything for the people who he was actually claiming that he was trying to speak for. Ann Coulter, what legislation is she responsible for? You don't hear anything out of Black cultural conservatives' mouths. Candace Owens, Tatum, the AB. Dude, you really don't hear anything from these dudes unless they could throw Black people under the bus. So where's Don Gordito? Where he at? This is what it is. But a lot of people want to focus on views and likes and blah, blah, blah. But what about being right and wrong, man? What about that? Yeah, Charles Barkley. Why do you think he's on TV? Jason Whitlock. They dust that dude off to come on TV. Why do you think he's out there? Come on, man. So as you can see, none of these people can have a straight up conversation. They have to have a conversation through the actual ability to try to troll. Because when you're a black male sociopath, right, and you can't comport with regular society, and the only thing you can do is turn around and just try to have these conversations from places that don't need to be had, and certain things in the conversation way out of context. So now I have to follow you around like a dog with a pooper scooper, trying to clean up your nonsense, trying to preempt every conversation you become a part of. This is the way this stuff is, man. These are older black men acting like this. These are not younger people. These are older dudes. And if you have younger men looking up to older dudes like this, what do you think they turn into? They turn into the same thing. This is why when I run into most of these people within this environment that are younger, I have to treat them like women. Younger women at that. You know what the genius of that was? Q497 is they let Pookie speak at the actual RNC. The people who they let go for selling drugs. The people who they pardoned. They let those people speak at the convention. Did they let normal, everyday, middle class raised black men or black women not associated with the cultural conservative piece speak at the national convention? The answer is no. Because they don't want you to think that those people deserve anywhere near power in America. That's the issue here. That's the issue here. You have 50-year-old men talking about views and likes and shit. Outrageous. Everybody wants their chance to be the cool uncle, man, who have all the information, who don't want to tell people what's up, who want to guide people into abject failure, and then want to sit around and celebrate the schadenfreude of it happening. That's what everybody wants to do. So we got to ask Don Gordito, how come he didn't have enough time to come up? But see, these are some of the older black men that we have within the environment, right? Older black men who sit around, who don't say nothing much, who don't try to lead, who still trying to understand this overly domesticated counterpart within the environment. We can easily leave that stuff alone. You see, the secret of Black America is you can easily make it past the cultural trappings of Black America. The only thing you have to do is leave this counterpart alone and stay away from what the counterpart likes within society. If you left both of those facets alone, you're going to be pretty much fine within Black America. And you're going to be able to digest the whole experience of America better if you're not around these type of people. It's not like they're in high school, man. They live the high school moment. They haven't progressed beyond that. This is why you got so many people who's mesmerized by the thought of somebody getting cooperation out of an incooperative person. It's easy to get dumbass men to fall for that. I agree with you. I agree that there should be like a dollar store, like in any black environment, on the scale of a Family Dollar or Dollar Tree that's completely black owned, that should be popping with money. But see, business isn't the only thing that's the problem there, Q497. You also need a team of people within the environment who are preparing their kids to actually run things within the environment. Like when immigrants come over here, it's rare that you find that immigrant parents have ain't nothing kids. All right, so what's going on, Ike? So let's put it this way. Parents come over here, they don't speak English, or maybe they do. They don't have a degree, they don't have a network, so they get a job the best way they can get it, as long as they can be able to feed themselves within the environment. Those parents have children. Let them know exactly how all this stuff works. The children grow up within the environment and they become professionals in the environment. That's their next generation in the environment. You see, we don't have that within the black context. Because most people in the environment are on the same level within the environment. So while you got 20-year-olds are talking about women, 30-year-olds are talking about women, 40-year-olds are talking about women, and 50-year-olds are acting like they got these women under control. Nobody's talking about business. Nobody's talking about any of that other stuff. So how's a kid supposed to see themselves as anything else other than being appreciated, other than being a person who gets drained of his resources actually pretty quickly within the environment? If you listen to the music of the actual environment, it's about celebrating for no reason, getting all the stuff that you cannot handle, and giving it away for next to no reason. This is the psychological programming within the environment. But Justin March, it has to be another term other than that. There has to be a far worse term other than that. I mean, but when most of these people come back to the environment, they don't come back with new information. They come back with the same information, or they say nothing. So you have to realize they're coming back to the environment to preserve their failure in place. They're not coming here to warn people about the things they should stay away from. They're here to guide people right into those failures within the society and environment. We shouldn't have cultural conservatives, fake street dudes. We shouldn't be having unreformed gang members. Dude, we shouldn't be having any of these things in the environment. They should have no say within the environment. And what happened when these people actually got their say within the environment? You know what they did? They went after all the same people that they ran out of the neighborhoods long ago. Yes, when a street dude got his ability to speak, yes, he couldn't wait to call people educated lames. Why? He wanted to follow the women. When the street dude and the actual unreformed criminal came here, he said the same thing. The ex-pimp came here, he said the same thing. Most people who claim that they did dirt back in the day, they actually didn't. They just took the charges for somebody else. Those people did the same thing. And then they wanted to socially condition you into accepting the unacceptable. How are you supposed to accept the unacceptable as something that's normal? And they wanted to socialize that all of these people were constant mainstays in Black society when they never were. All these people came up at the same time. They just needed an unfeminine counterpart within the environment to help feed the entire society that they wanted to build. They built the world within their own image. They built the world within their own image of failure. That's what they did. They built the world within their own image. And you can't be surprised about the outcomes if you're not realistic about the inputs. A person like me within Black America is 0.00001% of people within Black America. Anybody can be middle class within Black America. It's not that hard. But to be a person to actually speak up about the problems that are definitely true and the track record and everything else, which definitely that you should dodge within the actual work environment, so that way you can be able to move on from this stuff. Nobody's out here doing it. You want to know why? They want to be too cool with the people who are destroying the environment. They don't want to lose that relevance with those people within the environment who are actually destroying things within the environment. They want to be the cool uncle with all the information, who do nothing with the information except for presenting it in such a way that hides the failures of all those people in the environment that I just named. This isn't the government doing this. Every obstacle that the government have in front of you, you don't have to run into it face first. How is a kid supposed to? Because I noticed this after I left Mississippi about how the school systems were never prepared to prepare children for college in the actual state that it is. Because before your kid even come to college, there is already a degree of mathematics before the kid is even born that is going to denote how far people are going to get within the environment. If the counterpart wants to maintain her position of dominance within society, she goes after weak men. And then the weak men think that they're powerful because they got access. But we know access isn't control. So you got a lot of peacocking guys out here with access, but don't nobody control anything. We got a lot of guys with game, but they ain't got game enough to tell the child support to stop. What's going on, Black George? Yeah, but ABL knows that he wouldn't be where he was if it wasn't for the ignorance of those people. They don't have ABL type black guys in other countries. They wouldn't even allow somebody like that to be on TV. ABL is forgetting that he's supposed to keep his mouth closed during this time. You ain't supposed to be talking during this time. Those people who broke into the Capitol, those were the type of people who he was feeding information to. He was buck dances for those same people. And now that an officer has died, yeah, this upgrades the entire situation. You know what? Black Torch, that's on Bernard Raleigh for doing that. That's on him for doing that. Why would you give discredited people an opportunity to speak when they never spoke on the issues in the first place? This is why it's kind of hard to respect stuff like that, man. Did the hood conservative go on his channel and try to justify this stuff? No. Did the street conservative go on his channel try to justify this stuff? No. They took down their videos. They took down their videos about voter fraud and everything else. They took down those videos. But you can always go somewhere else to be put on a pedestal and to have these people actually go out there and actually look at this stuff. They have their own track record to blame for this stuff, man. You know, somebody asked me earlier, man, why don't you hop on? For what? I'm right. I'm right.mot. I ain't got to fucking go up there. I could tell by all these people not talking about the conservative shit within the space who were conservative before November 3rd. You don't hear Shirley Hussar, Mr. Research, or any of these people who claim to be conservative talking about the conservatism of right now. You don't hear any of those people talking about this stuff. This is why being a cultural conservative was always a fraud and a con. Politics is about policy. Cultural conservatism is about idiocy. You can't be fair having people up there, man. That's a very specific thing that Bernard Raleigh is doing. That's not cool what he's doing, man. That's not cool, man. Nah, he's not cool either. And what he's doing is not cool either. It's not. It's not to be defended in any way. He should have just stuck with talking about black women and leveraging that shit with the rest of the dudes up there. Allowing them people up there a platform to speak? Nah, man. Why does the wrong people get a platform to speak? Why would they need to go on a show to defend themselves? Say it again, Torch. It isn't the people who you give a platform to. It's the why you give them a platform. Like, actually, Bernard Raleigh do actually believe in this stupid shit, too. The same with the Prophet of Thought. This is why they kept allowing these dudes. Well, man, take a break. Oh, okay. So what time would be great for you to come on then? All right, man. All right, I guess the show's over because the coward showed up and he didn't want to speak. As you can see, he showed up and he said he didn't want to argue. But you wanted to drop your fucking bullshit without no motherfucking any type of anything? You at work? I ask you when the fuck can you come on? And now you say, oh, I don't want to argue. What the fuck do you mean you don't want to argue? This is what you think. This is what you believe. You mean to tell me that you cannot come on and defend your points of view? This is the manhood that is run rampant in Black America. This is the type of manhood. They want to drop their stuff and get out of there. They don't want to defend anything that they say. So if you find yourself blocked from my channel, that's why your ass is blocked. There's a specific reason. Oh man, I just want to give my opinion. I don't want to argue with the MRT. Yeah, because I saw your head off. He was giving aid and comfort to a domestic terrorist who said that he did not really like Black people like that. Anything just to give his point of view and not be criticized for it. Women do that. It's not something an older Black man is supposed to be thinking. Oh man, I don't want to argue, man. I don't want to argue, man. I just want to say what I'm saying. I got these cheeseburgers, man. I'm a vegetarian, man, but I got these cheeseburgers, man. This is the type of dudes you got, man. How are we supposed to move forward if we got dudes like this who can't even explain their point of view? So now you resorted to going around the manosphere lying about how I blocked you now. Now you got to go lie about it to people who want to actually listen to you. Say it again, son, hot as raw. That's what you're seeing. And me and the Gone is going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about that. Because I don't think people understand how big of a failure this is, son, hot as raw. There needs to be a whole show by itself. That is a whole show about that failure. That is a whole show. An entire show that needs to be talked about. Thanks for the $2 super sticker, Justin March. But this is what you got going on. Why does people who are wrong about everything need a platform? Why do they need an extra platform right now? Why do discredited dudes who don't want to help Black people with anything? You got a cultural conservative and a guy who claims he's from the streets. One of these 94 crime bill complainer, pro-blackity black types. Why do they need a platform? To do what? To explain what? I understand your platform used to be used for whatever it wants to. But I was to try to bring up or try to put on any one of these supremacists and try to clean up their image, people look at me like I'm crazy. But this is where we are, man. Actually, it's kind of like Fox News turned into the One American Network and the Newsmax TV. They're just bilking the same people with slightly different opinions on the same side. That's all it is. Hold on a second. All right, man. Business call. I got to go online for a couple hours. So, all right, man. I want to thank you guys for coming through. Tonight, we're going to talk about the response to the actual craziness that happened in Washington, because I haven't heard this conversation being had yet online anywhere and not in the news media, because I don't think people understand how important it is for this response to all of a sudden not happen the way it should have happened there. So I'll see y'all tonight. You guys have a nice one.